Okay, today we're going to continue with our summary study of Bhagavad-gita. Today, chapter 9. Bhagavad-gita has 18 chapters and divided into basically 3 parts. There's 5 subject matters discussed in Bhagavad-gita: time, karma, the living being, God, and material nature. In the first part of Bhagavad-gita, this section is the first 6 chapters, basically is about the living being and his dealing with his own body. The middle 6 chapters are considered the heart of Bhagavad-gita, and these are where Krishna reveals himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship of the individual living being with Krishna. And then the last 6 chapters are more about the material energy, material nature, and how the living being is dealing with those. So these 6 chapters middle 6 chapters are the most significant, in one sense. And here, chapter 9, this chapter is, you could almost say, it's a repeat of things that have come in chapter 7 and 8. Right? We mentioned before how Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is repeating many things. And in the last chapter, Attaining the Supreme, Krishna talks about meditating on him, always thinking about him, so that at the end of life one can think of him and then go to him. And again, in this chapter, Krishna is talking about how one should think of him. And not only that, but his amazing potency as the Supreme Lord. And then there's a little bit of a repetition, or let's say in addition to what we've heard in chapter 7, where Krishna says, I am the light of the sun and the moon, the sound and air, and ability in man. And in this chapter, it goes into some more slokas like that. I am the ritual, the sacrifice, the Father of the universe, and so on. So again, it's a little bit repeating, but from a different perspective. Now, Krishna says some amazing things in here, in this chapter. Prabhupada says in the introduction of Bhagavad-gita that one should at least theoretically accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord when you read Bhagavad-gita, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Right? So when Krishna says, I create the universe, and at the end of every millennium, I wind it up, and all that energy goes back into me. It's like, that's kind of like Zen, right? It's all like, okay, how does that happen exactly? It's a little bit beyond our understanding. But that's the nature of God. God is beyond our understanding, beyond our comprehension. Because if he wouldn't be, then what kind of God is that, right? Some kind of mundane God. Like the God on your bathroom mirror, right? I am God. So a God that has to brush his teeth every day, otherwise he smells bad. This is not God. So, Krishna says, at the end of every millennium, I enter... all the material manifestation enters into me, and at the beginning of another millennium, I create. The whole cosmic order is under me. By my will, it is manifests again and again. So these things gives us some understanding that Krishna is indeed God, because this is beyond any ordinary person to be able to do such things. Again, the material nature is working under my direction and producing all moving and non-moving beings. But not everybody can understand that. Krishna says, when I come in human form, people, they think I'm an ordinary person. They deride me. But they have no idea who I am. So to think that God can come and appear like an ordinary human being, right? Because everybody has this idea God must be something very overwhelming, but God can appear in many, many different ways, right? In the Bible, God appeared as a burning bush, right? So God is not limited like that. So he comes in human form once in the day of Brahma. So Brahma's day is 4,300,000,000 years, and his night is 4,300,000,000 years. So every 8,600,000,000 years, Krishna comes to this material world. And that was just 5,000 years ago. So we're considering 8,600,000,000 years, very close, very recent, just yesterday. And so because of that, we're fortunate that we have his words as this Bhagavad-gita. And fortunate that we have Bhagavad-gita as it is, as Krishna meant it to be. So then later, 14, for example, or 13 and 14, Krishna is speaking about the devotees and how they develop their relationship with the Lord, what kind of relationship that they have. They know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. That means for understanding relationship with me or engaging in that relationship, bowing down before me and always worshiping me with devotion. So, again, this is the relationship of Krishna with his devotee. So for us, the first 6 chapters, we're learning how to conquer over our senses, conquer over our mind, and now we're entering into the part where Krishna's telling us how do we enter into that relationship with him, and how? By serving, by rendering service. And so our method of doing that is to have Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord, by which then we can offer our devotion, cook for the Lord, dress him, chant prayers to him, and so on. And then now 16 through 19, Krishna's saying more about how one can see him in this world. Just like in chapter 7. I am the ritual, the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herbs. Oh, that's for you, Daniela. Krishna's the healing herb. The transcendental chant. I am the butter, the offering, and the fire. The father of the universe, the mother, support, and the grandsire. So Krishna is everything. And you can say, yes, he's everything. But earlier he says, all things are resting in me, but I am not in them. So it's, you can say, oh, yeah, well, this chair, this is Krishna. But no, it's a manifestation of Krishna's energy. He's there, but we don't deal with that piece of furniture like it's God. There's different ways of dealing in that relationship. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, the most dear friend, the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Eternal seed is very interesting. I'm saving these seeds from the bell pepper, from the pepper plant. Maybe you saw when you were over. And I have them near my altar drying. And I'm looking at that when I chant japa sometimes, and I realize each one of these seeds has an infinite amount of seeds within it, unlimited number.
I don't understand.
Every seed from this pepper plant, Inside of it is unlimited number of seeds. So it's very, very amazing thing. So Krishna says, I am the seed of all existence here. So what's that mean? Everything is coming from Krishna. Everything. Like a seed, right? That seed expands and another more seed, more seed, more seed. So this is like Krishna. This is how this is an example, a very good example of how this world works. So when I go for my walk also, I'm appreciating that, the sun doesn't just come up in the sky. It comes up very gently. This goes down very gently. Nothing is going very quickly. All very gently. The leaves come on the trees, and in the fall they leave the trees. So Krishna's creation is going on in a very subtle way. It's not, with force or anything, but just this subtle expansion. So we can see Krishna like that. If we look, we can see this is how Krishna works, how he deals with things. And in that way, we can see Krishna everywhere and remember him. For those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. This is a very wonderful verse that we can take shelter of. Number 22. We can take shelter of that because many times we may feel that there's something missing, we need a little help. So Krishna says, I carry what they lack. Oh, good. And preserve what they have. So that's nice to know. And then this one, 24. I am the only enjoyer and the only master of and the master of all sacrifices. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Now, Adichandra mentioned that the other day that you were discussing 912, the purport. 912, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by the demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruit of activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. And in the purport there, Prabhupada has said something very amazing. He says there are many devotees, many, who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Krishna as the absolute truth. Which is a little surprising because if you would ask any devotee, what is the absolute truth? They would say Krishna. It's like a no-brainer. Krishna is the absolute truth. Yeah, no problem. So everybody would say that. But Prabhupada says, there are many who do not accept Krishna as the absolute truth. For them, the fruit of devotional service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. So in order to understand what that means, that answer to that is given here in 25 or 26? 24. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my transcendental nature fall down. Fall down means come under the control of the illusory energy. Because why? If we want to be the enjoyer, which is most people in this world, we are trying to exploit, as Prabhupada says, exploit the resources of the material energy. We want to enjoy the things of this world. And so we're trying to take the place of Krishna. If we have that, or let's say, as long as we have that consciousness, no, we will never go back to Godhead. So what's required is that we learn how to recognize that in ourselves and to have an attitude adjustment. Do you have that saying here? In America, we have the saying, I need to get an, if somebody, they say, you need an attitude adjustment.
Prilagođavanje stava.
So, slang, it's American slang. Like if somebody is saying something, they're not polite or something, right? So we say, you need an attitude adjustment. So, for those who are trying to enjoy this material world, they need an attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
Have to change their attitude and recognize Krishna as the supreme enjoyer and the supreme proprietor. We discussed that back in chapter 5 when we were discussing 529. But Krishna, again, this is a repeat of that, 529, 924. I'm the only enjoyer and the master of all sacrifices. Krishna says same thing, 529. And those who do not recognize that, Maya gives them the illusion that they are the enjoyer, but their enjoyment is subject to duality, and happiness and distress. So although they're trying to enjoy, they cannot. It's always frustrated. You know what sweet rice is? Have you had sweet rice? Sweet rice?
Slatka riža.
Oh, we have to make some.
Yeah.
For Sunday feast, we should make some.
Slatkiš.
So this is like rice pudding. Very delicious.
Jesi čula, mama?
She can hear. And so we have one saying in ISKCON, sand in the sweet rice. Right?
Oh.
So, sweet rice is very nice, but if there's some sand in it, it's spoiled. So our attempts to enjoy this material world, we're thinking we're going to get sweet rice, but it's full of sand. So, frustration. Did you hear that about sweet rice? Was she there? No.
Tam.
So, that's the answer. As long as we don't recognize Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, we stay in this material world. Again, Krishna is going back how to develop that relationship. If you offer me with love a leaf, flower, fruit, or water. So leaf, this means cabbage, spinach. A flower, cauliflower, broccoli, in terms of food.
Okay.
Right? Fruit, any kind of fruit, water. So when we cook the food, we offer to Krishna, he says, I will accept. And then more, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away, all austerities that you do should be done as an offering to me. In this way, you'll become free from karma, the bondage of work, and its inauspicious and auspicious results. Now, that's an important point. Usually when we think, oh, I'm suffering from my karma, I want to become free from my karma, or when a devotee gets initiation by the spiritual master takes his karma, takes the karma of the devotee. And the devotee, they don't say, but maybe they might be thinking, oh, nice, we think of karma like we have this big bag of yucky stuff and we give it to the guru. You're a guru, Dave. Ooh. Happy. Oh, you can take my bad karma, Guru Dave, but don't take my good karma. I want to keep my good karma. So Krishna is saying here, you can become free from your inauspicious and your auspicious results. Now who is that? Dhruva. Dhruva had to stay. He became king. He saw Vishnu. He became blessed by the Supreme Lord. But because he had so much pious credit, he had to remain in the material world for a very long time to exhaust the results of his pious credit. Huh? You understand? He had so much good karma that it took him a long time of living a very wonderful existence to become free from that karma. So for us, due to Krishna's grace and Bhagavad-gita, we can quickly become free from both the auspicious and inauspicious karma by the sacrifice we perform, chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It all goes away very quickly. And then another one, 29, one of my favorite. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to everyone. But whoever renders service to me in devotion as a friend is in me, and I am a friend to him. That's so nice. So again, the relationship. How do we enter into this relationship with God?
Prabhu, can you read the shloka one?
Again, 29?
Yeah.
Even if, 29. Okay, the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged.
No.
Before?
This 29.
29. Okay.
No, but,
I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. Partial. He is equiposed. He is not favor.
Okay.
Seventh canto. This is how the whole seventh canto is spoken, because Sukadeva Goswami says, I can't understand that God would be favorable to somebody, to some and not the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So God is equal to everybody. But then 30 is also confusing for many devotees. What does it mean? Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is still considered saintly because he is properly situated in determination and transcendence. So this is a little bit difficult to see, because we see, I don't know, maybe in your country, but in America we have many religious leaders, right, who they fall down in some kind of inappropriate relationship or embezzling money or some kind of thing that's not very spiritual, right? And so they fall from grace. And then, so they're saying here that still he's considered saintly. Why is that? So this is one time, this depends on the nature of the problem. Sinful activity. First of all, let's understand what is sinful activity. That's an important point, okay? If one commits the most abominable action or sin. So sin is that activity which interferes with our relationship with Krishna, which breaks that relationship. Okay, we're trying on the spiritual path, we're trying to come closer to God. But sinful activity actually pushes us away. So there's one path, right? And Krishna says, everybody follows my path in all respects. And every path has two directions, to Krishna and away from Krishna. So which way are we going? And many times we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 2 steps back and 3 steps forward, like this. So it's not easy. And turn that light on over there, please.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. So, as the devotee makes progress, he's in this clearing, what's called a clearing stage, anartha nivritti. You know the Sanskrit? Anartha nivritti. We're trying to get rid of our previous bad habits. And gradually, in time, those things, they will go away. Now, it may happen that because of samskara, what's sanskara? Sanskara is an impression on the mind, okay? Like the other day, I was listening to something on, watching something on YouTube, and some old rock and roll song came. And that it was going on in my head for 3 days. So this is sanskara, right? An impression on the mind. So our previous sinful activities, they made samskara, they made this impression on the mind, and we don't become free from them that quickly. But as we make progress, gradually that memory becomes more and more faint, as long as we don't repeat that, right? But because of that impression, it may at one point cause the devotee to fall down and engage in that sinful activity again. Still, it's not done deliberately as it was previously before taking up devotional service. People engage willingly in all of that sinful behavior. So the difference is, how that comes about. So for such a devotee can have this, become a victim of such anarthas all the way up even to the point of, it's called bhava, which is right next to prema, pure love of God. So all the way up till there. So it's not impossible to see that happen. So still, if that does happen, that's what this verse is referring to. If that does happen, that person's considered saintly because he's endeavoring on the process. One time, a devotee asked Prabhupada, what is the difference between an accidental fall down and a deliberate fall down? And the devotee told me Prabhupada thought about it for quite a bit of time. He didn't answer immediately. Then finally Prabhupada said, if he comes back, it was accidental. In other words, if one's going for it willingly, right, chasing after that kind of sense enjoyment, that's not accidental. And then if that happens, then it may be gone for some time. But if it's just accidental, then the devotee becomes very remorse, very unhappy, vows never to do that behavior again, and he does some fasting or some kind of purification or something to try to become free from that. In the initial stages, beginning of devotional service, because those sanskaras are very present in the mind at that time, a fall down at that time has a much greater impact on the devotee than if later, after years of devotional service and those impressions are very faint, at that time they're quickly forgotten and the devotee just moves on. But in the beginning stage, it's the memory is too fresh, and so it can really have a big impact. It can be pulling the devotee, taking the mind. So that's what's being referred to in this. In other words, not deliberate sinful activity, accidental. And then a few more slokas till the end of the chapter. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. My devotee never perishes. And again, just like in the last chapter, chapter 8, where Arjuna asks what happens to the person who endeavors for perfection but is not successful, Krishna says there's no loss. He will pick up immediately where he left off in the next life. So Krishna says here, my devotee never perishes. Whatever we do, whatever spiritual progress is 100% gain. It's a 100% gain. Anything we do materially, at the end of this life, all of that material knowledge is lost. Again, we're born into a child's body. We have to learn ABC, everything again. But spiritually, it's not lost. And we'll pick up from where we left off in the next life. So we see now young children being born in the family of devotees, immediately just the child chanting Hare Krishna, dancing in front of the deities, taking prasadam, like that. So they're picking up immediately from where they left off. So there's no loss. And everybody, and then finally Krishna says there's no discrimination. Anybody can come to me. He gives the example of those of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Sudras. So this, we should comment about this, women. Women being considered lower birth. This is very difficult for the modern woman who thinks this is misogynist. Right?
Misogónia ženomrtci. To je feministi.
In other words,
priča ovakve stvari je ženomrzac.
Discriminating against women, oppressing women, right? We're from always putting women down. So they think this is the same thing. It's completely wrong. This is speaking from spiritual perspective. The ability, the body that we have has an impact. It is a filter of our consciousness. When we are in, the body is subject to lower gunas, Rajagun and Tamagun, then understanding spiritual subject becomes more difficult. So, Shudra, Tamagun. Vaishya, Tamagun, a little bit of Rajagun. Woman also, Rajagun and Tamagun. Why woman? Because by her nature, to give birth to children and to take care of them, she must have this nature. It's absolutely required. Because if she did not have that nature, she could not do that function. It's very simple. It's a requirement, job requirement, right? I could say. So, all three of these, women, Vaishyas, Sudras, means lower gunas. But despite that, everyone can come to Krishna. It's not a problem. So anybody, regardless how fallen they are, they can come to Krishna. They can attain perfection in life. And then how much more so are the brahmanas or the devotees of saintly kings? That means those who are higher guna, rajaguns and sattvagun. So, engage your mind always. And here again, the relationship, how to cultivate this relationship with Krishna. Always think of me, become my devotee, offer your obeisances to me, worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
There is some question, but during your lecture.
You have a question?
No, because you give me the answer of
Oh.
the question.
That happens often. Yeah.
Odgovori.
This is because I can read your mind.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
We must hide.
No,
Krishna-
fine.
Krishna told me what to say.
Yeah.
I want to ask about this 9:30. You said I need
13. Sorry.
what?
13.
30.
3.
Teresa.
Ono, pardon, not yet.
Aha.
I'm practical. I need some example. If somebody in our community do it with child,
Oh,
you know,
abusing child.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What? And okay, what? What next?
Well, this depends on a person's position in society whenever there's some wrongdoing. And we talked about this before, and I gave you the example of Parikshit, who came across Kali hurting the bull Dharma. And Dharma would not say what was going on. He would not identify the culprit. But Parikshit, because his duty, his job as king was to give justice and to protect the innocent, he must know who is who, what is what. So in our normal society, abuse of children is considered wrong. And at least in the modern day, that this is reported to the police. Of course, it's different in different places, so I don't know in your culture exactly how it works.
But my question is, without police, can we arrange this situation without police, without state?
Well,
Djeca. Primjer sam. Ma neko sad nisam neki
depends upon the severity. Okay, how bad? Okay, if it's young parent, okay, young mama, that young parent, they're not so experienced what to do, then you give some counseling, some advice. You try to help them understand how to be better. If you see that they are, by their nature, they are cruel, and they cannot reform themselves, if they do not improve, then you have to think about some other way to approach it. That example is fairly black and white.
Yeah.
So there's many other things that will come up in relationships which are much more gray. And then the question is what to do, what not to do. Who's right? Say if it's a disagreement between two people. This is more gray. Who's right? He said, like this. So the Amish, I'll give you an example from Amish society. When they have problem in their society or their community, they have a group of counselor, 5 or 6, I forget. And the counselor, all they can do is ask question. The idea is that every person, they aspire to be good. And why am I not good? What is my defect? What is my problem that I'm behaving in the wrong way? So the counselors, they can only ask question. Did you think about this? Did you do that last time? What would you do next time? What would you do in different circumstance? Was it the circumstance? This, that? That's all they do. They can ask questions. The idea is that the person, they have to think, that you want to make them think about their behavior. What am I doing? A person in sattva, he is examining himself to see, right? One symptom of sattva gun is to be embarrassed by improper behavior. So maybe the person is not much sattva. So they don't know what is proper or not proper, or because they don't have sattva, they don't become embarrassed, and then they by being embarrassed, they think, oh, I should not do that next time. So they need help. How to help them? So instead of the conscience, super soul in the heart is the conscience who is telling that's not good. If they can't hear that Lord in the heart so well, so then the community, they come and they ask the question to make them think about their behavior. So different ways to do it, and it depends somewhat on your culture. I like the way the Amish do it. I think that's a very nice method. Huh? And all of modern society would be good to do this. Also for the people who are giving suggestion, because it makes them think about, rather than saying, oh, you're bad, helps them to think about, oh, why is he bad? It's not him. Why did he do that behavior? So everybody benefits by this method. Okay?
Yeah, okay. It's not
Every
big.
every situation is unique,
Yeah.
and so you cannot make one rule for everything. It's just like Mahabharata.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's for communities big, important.
Yeah.
Important to have like this panchayat or something like that.
Well, another thing, you talk about a community. In modern society, we don't have any experience of community. What we live, there's a bunch of people living in one place and we call that community, but we don't even know the people next door. We don't have any relationship with them. And so if you go to an intentional community, then, or let's say you come into a community of marriage, first community, right? And then you learn very quickly, with the help of your spouse, right? Boundaries, do, don't, proper behavior, non-proper behavior, and hopefully you know that beforehand. But we're all getting better. So, that's the whole point of relationships, is to be a mirror for us to see, what am I doing? Right?
In which way?
We cannot, it's difficult for us to see ourselves.
Okay.
But others, they can see us very easily. So they are like mirror for us. Huh? Help us to see what our nature is.
Like children is mirror of us.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more difficult to see.
Yeah.
Because we're big and they're little, and we think the problem is with them. Most parents cannot see that, I think. Difficult. How the child is reflecting back to them. But you read in psychology book and you go, oh yeah.
This must be for mother.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Kaže, to mora da je od mame. Kad pročitam.
To je naravno.
Yeah. Yeah. Jabuka ne pada daleko.
But in a community is like some situation with behavior of somebody, but this person doesn't want to give to take the suggestion or.
Yeah, then you have to ask, why are you here? Right? Yeah. You can go in Zagreb, any big city, do whatever you want and nobody will say anything. Nobody will give you a suggestion. You can go to hell. They don't care. Huh? But you come in closer relationships, then different behavior is expected. If you're not willing to adjust your behavior, then why are you in that relationship? Like marriage, you have to adjust your behavior. Otherwise, why you have a relationship like that? We cannot here's the thing. Modern society teaches us, encourages, indoctrinates us to be independent, right? Especially in America. Okay, I'm independent, I'm self-made man, I stand on my own 2 feet, right? And women now also, not dependent on men, right? But if you want emotional security, you cannot be independent. Emotional security means with another person. So you cannot, those two things are mutually exclusive. You cannot be close with somebody and be independent. Doesn't work. They're trying to do this. Crazy. My son, who lived in France for some time, he told me like this, that it's very common that a married couple, he will have a lover, she will have a lover. And then, okay, well, what's the meaning of this relationship? You live in the same house and what, what's the idea of relationship? Relationship means that I voluntarily give up my freedom to have a relationship, to be close with this person. If I don't give up my freedom, I cannot be close, because the other person, they will not allow you to become close because they need to protect themselves emotionally, right? So we have wonderful example of this in Mahabharata, Pandava brothers, 5 men, brothers so tight, you could not separate them for anything, nothing. Even they share the same wife somehow. So, and what's that mean? That means that they give up their freedom, right? When Yudhisthira said, I'm going to gamble Draupadi, their wife.
Yudhisthira je išao kockat glavni od Pandava i na kraju založio Draupadi, svoju ženu. To je svih njih žena.
So they had gambling match. And the king, the Kshatriya, if somebody challenges to gamble, he must gamble. So it's like challenge for war. Huh? So different contest, different kind of contest. So the other side, they're using dice created from the bones of somebody. And so they are cheating. And so they took gradually all the kingdom, everything, and then nothing left to gamble. So they said, okay, well, I will wager my wife. Like she's property. And the other brothers, no, they couldn't say anything, even though they were not happy.
Yeah, they were also sold.
Brothers, were they sold also?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Draupadi is last.
That's right.
Yeah.
They sold, wagered, the brothers were gone first. And so they were no longer had a voice to say anything. And then finally Draupadi. So, like that. You have to give up something to get. So we, that's the idea of community, huh? It means that we voluntarily, we give up our independence so that we can get the security from the others in the community. This point really has to be made, because people normally, unless you tell them like this, nobody usually thinks about such thing. And so, because of our acculturation from modern society, you come to some community and you just live there like you live in Zagreb or something. but there has to be understanding that something more, you have more expectation. Huh? You have to give. The idea is what we're here to give to each other, not to be independent. We don't live here. The man down the street, he can be independent, because we're not joining together in community. But if you want to be in community, that means we have to make contribution and we have to restrict our behavior.
Now come to me to mind the modern society, like you said in America, you must be independent, but they don't want to them to be independent, dependent of state, and not
Dependent of what?
of state.
Oh yeah, they want you to be dependent on the state,
Yeah. Not
Rules
big-
of the
independent of each other.
yeah.
I wrote about this in my spiritual economics book.
Yeah.
Did you read?
I don't remember, but
The culture in Europe in 14th century, like this, when they first started developing the idea of state, the culture, everybody was so taking care of each other. Like in Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's book about Bengali society. And so the powers, the demonic powers, they tried to separate the people by many means. It took them hundreds of years. They divided up their land and the people would get it and they would come together and they would join all the land together again. And then they would try to divide them up. So again and again, they were trying to divide people, but people kept coming together. Now everybody's finally divided. But we will again come to time when money is gone. We must depend on each other. And this lesson we have to learn again. How to participate in group by giving and then have my security from the other people in the group. I can't have no security from money. Where will my security come from? From other people that I am with. We have to learn that again because this is forgotten in modern society.
To je kod nas prije 100 godina bilo. Yeah. You also, neighbor, still function on this. I talk to him almost every morning. He said, land, we must cooperate. Like this.
Nice.
He give brainwash,
Yeah.
This. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Nice to hear. Still there. Yeah, because here, you're out here by yourself, right? You have some problem. We all need help. Everybody needs help. Where do I get help?
He was very happy when we come and he said, come, many people, you must come here. Naš sretan je da bilo ko dođe. Because before here is 50, more than 50 children. And
Everybody's going. Now there's nobody.
No.
Yeah, very rare. Somebody wants to go to village?
Yeah. You must work there.
Yeah. Right.
And in the city you don't work. Only
There's
Enjoy.
the
Entertainment.
comfort.
Pretty much social help and
And they're trying to do that, right? So they want to take away the money, give everybody, they're destroying the economy, lock everybody up, stay in your house. You have no job, no money. Now what do? Okay, we'll give you money, but to get money, you must take vaccine.
then you are slave. You must.
Then you're a slave.
Yeah. Maybe dead. I don't know. Maybe dead. Maybe slave.
I saw.
But for me, it's same.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly the same. Okay, let's stop. Srila Bhagavad-gita.
That
Hare Krishna.